Okay, what we're going to do now is a little web design project. So we're going to I'm going to challenge you to design this little minimal landing page. So it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty simple, and it might be a little bit of a challenge for you because you haven't really experimented too much with Photoshop, but that's okay because I will also follow up in this video with a tutorial on how to design this. So go ahead and pause the video and you can start trying to mimic this. I've also provided a download with the final PSD for this file and also the background image of the ocean in the background. So if you feel confident enough, you can go ahead and try creating this, try your hand on it. But if you feel like hanging in there and watching and following along, you could certainly do that, because right now I will go ahead and design this. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be providing you with this folder, minimal website. We have the minimal website PSD here, and we also have the ocean background. And this is an asset that I got off of Creative Market. I mentioned that earlier in the course. This is a really great way to get free resources and downloads, and this is what this image is from. So I'm going to start out, I'm actually going to start using that 12-column grid that I downloaded and we just recently learned how to use. So here we go. I'm going to start out here and I'm going to hide this grid overlay, and I'll keep this grid for now. And I'm going to go back and forth because you could certainly do the same. Obviously, I'm not just going to create it out of thin air. I want to be able to reference the final design. And let's jump right in. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that background in there. So here in my folder, I have the ocean background. I'm going to go ahead and drag that into my Photoshop document here. There we go. Looks like it doesn't quite fit fully, so I'm just going to expand this. And what I can do is it's already in the free transform mode, so I could just hold shift and drag the corner. But if I want to be more efficient, I can hold shift and option, and that will let me resize all sides evenly, as you can see. So I'm going to do that so it fills the whole canvas. Go ahead and commit that change. And there we go. There's the background. So far, so good. Now what I want to do is I want to create a little bit of a layout here in my layers panel. So I'm just going to hide this for now so you can just see the layers. And I'm going to go ahead and create just a little bit of a layout. So here in the final, you can see I have things like logo, navigation, footer, home. I want to be able to do that so I can easily organize my PSD. It's very good practice. So let's start by clicking the new folder icon. And I'm going to give that the double click that text and change it to logo. Let's create a new folder. I'm going to call this navigation. Another folder, footer, and another folder, home. Good enough. And I'm just going to leave these as is. The background's fine where it is. And this is where I'll just basically add my layers so I can easily organize everything without this getting too messy. So let's start with the logo. First thing, as I could see, is it's essentially just a circle with some text in the middle. So I'm going to use a shape to get the circle, and shapes are good because they are vector graphics, meaning you can resize them at any point and they'll always maintain their crisp lines and shapes. Whereas if you use just the selection tool or the elliptical marquee tool and you just filled that in with a color, and if you resize that, you'll start seeing some pixelation along the edges because this is just pixel based. So shape is right here. And I'm going to choose the ellipse tool, and I'm going to hold shift and just create a circle about 80 pixels, I believe. Actually, that looks a bit bigger. Let's go with 100. So here is where I can change the size easily. Here in the properties panel, I could also do it up here. 100 by 100. That looks good. Now I'm going to want to change the stroke to just white. And 1 point is good for me. Go ahead and hit enter or return. And you should be good. Now I'm going to want to move that So it's centered. So I'm going to hit the Move tool, or V on your keyboard. And I actually want to use the free transform tool. So go Command T, and that will let you free transform this so you can see the center, and drag it to the center of the grid. And it will lock right there. Good to go. Commit that change. So far, so good. Now we need some text in the middle of there. And that was MNML for minimal. So hit the text tool and change your font to something like Courier or Monospace. We need a mono-based font. So Courier works for me. I'm just going to start out here and just say MN, return ML. And I want that to be white. So I'm going to select that, everything, change the color to white. And bold is okay. Commit that change. Move tool. And I want to move it here. Now, if I want it to be centered perfectly, I can free transform again. You can do that by going Command T or Edit, free transform. And I can see here that it is perfectly centered. But I want it to be a bit bigger. So the font size needs to be a bit bigger. So let's do text tool again. We're going to select this. You can drag to select it all or say Command A. Font size, let's go for, I don't know, 30. Great. Now I can see that I want it to be medium, not bold. Commit that change. And I want to move it up a few spaces. Now, a cool little keyboard trick is go to the Move tool, and if you want to move something by pixels, rather than just dragging it and just hoping you can get it perfect, just hit the up, down, left, or right keys on your keyboard, and you can fine-tune the position using just pixel by pixel. And I went Command T, so I could center it perfectly, hit Return, commit that change, and that should be pretty centered. So let's have a look. I'm going to hide those guides. So you can go View, and you could show guides and turn it off. Or if you want to just quickly hide them, Command H. So it looks kind of a little bit off. So I'm just going to move it over just a couple pixels using the arrow key. And the difference I can also see is that the line height on this is a little bit different. So I'm going to select this again. I'm going to choose the properties over here, the text properties, character properties. There we go. Whoops. And right here, the line space right here, or leading as it's known to designers, I'm going to change to something like, I don't know, 14. Nope. Let's try 18. Nope, let's try 24. Looks a bit better. We can fine tune that to say something like 22. That looks good to me. Now I'm just going to hit the Move tool again. Use the arrow key to move it down a few spaces. And that to me looks pretty good. So there is the logo. Now I'm going to select these two layers. Click one of them, hit Shift or hold Shift, and then select the next one and move it to our logo folder. So now we have our logo in one folder. Great. Moving on. Next we have our navigation. Very easy. All we need to do is use our text tool. So hit T or click the T down here and just click anywhere on the canvas and start writing. So I'm going to say home, a few spaces, 1, 2, 3, store, 1, 2, 3, about, 1, 2, 3, contact. Hit check mark to commit those changes. Now I want to actually change that font size to something like 14. That looks better. Good. And I'm going to show those guides again. Command H. Now, Move tool. We want to be able to center this. So again, you should know now. Command T will get us our free transform so we can see the center. And that looks good to me. Hit Return to commit that change. And we're good. Next up, we have a horizontal line splitting the header section from the nav and the body. So let's go down to our shape and click the line tool. 1 pixel. We want to change this to white, the stroke. And let's start from here. If you click right here on this guide and then start dragging, it should lock. Now, if you want to keep this line nice and straight, hold the shift button. There we go. And that should lock right on this one. So we want this to be 6 columns wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, perfect. Go ahead and hit the move tool to commit that, to get rid of those lines there. And that looks good. In fact, this one's a little bit wider. So what we can do is hit the free transform tool. So Command T. And it's a little small to try and change the size. So I'm just going to try and drag here. Hold the shift button. That will keep it nice and straight. Do it from here as well. And there we go. Commit that change. There is the line. It's a little bit off there. So I'm just going to use the move tool, a couple pixels over with my arrow key. Looks good. All right, moving on. Now we're in the body. So let's organize, make sure the navigation is good in our navigation folder. If not, make sure to drag those layers in navigation. Cool. Now we have the body copy. It says, "We sell beach toys." Seriously. So just new text. We're going to put this in home. I called it here. New text. Make sure you have your text tool ready. "We sell beach toys." Period. Return seriously. And I'm going to change that font size. So select it all, Command A, or drag it all with your cursor. Let's go for 24. Looks good to me. Looks like the leading is a little bit off, so click Auto and it should do a pretty good job. Okay. Now, let's make sure to center that. Commit that change, free transform, and move it to the center. There we go. Commit that change. Looks like "We sell beach toys" is bold, so I'm going to go ahead and bold that section. Commit. Looking good. Now what we have is the button. All right. It's going to be a cool one. It's a little bit more of the nicer kind of designy aspect of this minimal landing page. So again, in home here, what we're going to do is we're just going to start with a shape and use the rectangle tool. The fill, I have like a yellow color. The specific color is FFEA00. So if you want to change that color specifically, you can click fill and then click the color picker icon here and enter in that color code, FFEA00. And I don't want any stroke, so hit the red cross there to turn off the stroke. And let's make the button go from here to, let's make it 3 columns wide and we'll center it afterwards. So 220 pixels wide by something like 70 pixels high. That looks good. Now go to the text tool and instead of typing inside, because that will lock it to the shape, I like to do it separate. So click outside somewhere and write what you were going to write. So something like browse the shop. And I want that to be black. So I selected it all, hit the color black, or something like 333333. And font size, so 18. There we go. I'm just going to drag it here so it's roughly center in this button. Commit that change. Now, it looks like I need to be able to grab the browse the shop and the rectangle. So I'm going to select those two and move that. So now I can hit the move tool and move both of them together. And in order to center it, I'm going to need the free transform, and that looks good. Browse the shop. Okay, now to me it looks like I made the button not wide enough. So all I need to do is click the rectangle, free transform, drag each side out. And that is good for me. Commit that change. Now I need to duplicate this layer because I want to create that shadow effect in the background there. You can see right there. So you can duplicate that by right-clicking on the layer, and you can duplicate layer. Just go ahead and hit OK. Now it's going to be in front. This layer is now in front because it's on top of that last one. So the one behind, I want to be able to move down 5 pixels and left 5 pixels. So hit the move tool, use your arrow key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. And I want to change the color of that shape to the same color as the text. So hit your shape tool, and we need to change the fill color to that specific text color. So hit your color picker here, and in the color code 333333, hit OK, and then we should be good. Hit the move tool to get out of there, hide your guides, and there you go. There is your button. Last but not least, we have the footer. Very simple. Copyright 2015, Minimal Beach Toys. All right, last bit. Show those guides again, make sure we're centered. I'm going to open up the footer, click on the footer here, so when I add some text, it will be in the footer group. There we go. Copyright 2015, MNML Beach Toys. Select that all. Turn it white with your color picker up on the top there in the properties. Font size, probably 12. Hit the commit and move tool. Center it by trying to center it here, or the best option is free transform, Command T, and just have it be down here in the bottom. Fine tune with your arrow keys. Commit that change, hide, and there is your minimal landing page. Now, if you were to send this to like a web developer, you could go ahead, hit File, Save for Web. You could save this as a JPEG. You could save it as a PNG. Whatever looks best with the smallest file size, and you're good to go. So there we go. That was the minimal website using the 12-column grid, and hopefully that helped you out. Go ahead and redo the lecture. You can try it again, start from scratch. Don't follow me this time and see if you could do it. Otherwise, just do the lecture a couple more times until you kind of get the hang of those tools. I purposely went a little bit fast so I could push you. The beauty of doing this course video-based is that you can go over and over and over again, take as long as you need. All right, see you in the next lecture when you're ready.